Welcome back to the farm, everyone. We've essentially finished up over west and we're just making our way back east. We've got a lot of corn to harvest as we head back that way. It's just easier if you can kind of stay in a line. That way you don't have to come back and pick fields that you left. Everything's about the same moisture, within 14 to 18%. We've got 3 bins here at the main farm to finish. This one's got 5,000 bushels in it. This little Shivers bin to the north is empty. It'll hold, I think, 10 or 11, maybe 12,000. And then that south 48 footer is empty. Need one of those power wheels on here. Yes, it finally happened last night. We hit the big 3.2 temperature. That's Fahrenheit. You Celsius folks out there, that's 0 degrees, freezing. 0 degrees makes more sense, but hey, you gotta use the system you're born into. When it gets really cold like this, you can see the fans pushing the moisture out of the corn bins. All of that running down the side has come out the eaves of the bin and is leaving. So we're cooling the corn off, should help with the storage viability long term. I'm doing some shuffling around for a surprise project in a little bit. I need that tractor. I'm feeling adventurous. I'm not even going to check the oil in the combine. This old girl has 1,300 hours on it. It is a 2013 or 14, I believe. I would say at least half of those hours are from running the grain cart. Grain carting is the most hour-wasting job for a piece of equipment on the farm. You just add hours because you have to sit, harvest takes a long time, and the grain cart tractor gets a lot of depreciation in the process. This isn't a discussion for this video, but that is why some people scratch their heads at guys, and we're guilty of it, of putting $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 tractors on the grain cart. Those tractors are in a state where their value is dropping so quickly off the top end, you'd be better off conserving hours and putting a higher hour to lower dollar machine to run it. You got to use what you have though. So if you've got one 8R 370 and you need that to pull your tractor, it doesn't matter if it's worth $50,000 or $700,000. You're probably going to put that on the cart as opposed to buying a second tractor, even if it makes sense. Well, I've been inside messing around. Dad, Nate, Chris, and Jeff set the drive over to this auger. We'll be hauling corn in here today. Got that pulled out of the shed, calibrated the TCM so the GPS will work accurately so we don't have to steer. I'm ready to get running today. It's humorous how the harvesting dance goes. Everyone's at different fields all the time. We've been gone a few miles away. Curry's, our neighbors here, have come in and picked this corn, and I had no idea until we came in last night at 8 o'clock that this cornfield had been picked at all. Really makes no difference to us because it's not our cornfield, but it is kind of cool to see how everyone just jumps around, goes where they can, gets everything accomplished as quick and as logistically sound as possible. That does make it sound a lot easier than it is. There's a lot of headaches and inconveniences involved. When there's success as well, it's very rewarding. Dad and I are heading over to our machines, get them warmed up for the morning. teamwork. We usually blow blow the combine off multiple times during the day and also in the evening when we shut down. I went to do it last night. The blower was out of battery and I couldn't see anything. The combine was already shut off. So did it this morning. It's usually good to blow the chaff and debris off because it can be a fire hazard if it gets in the wrong place and a bearing or something gets hot. Those dry corn leaves and stalks and fuzz ignite pretty quickly if there's heat. With how our fall is going so far in terms of equipment issues and repairs, with the ingestion policy and all that, I think if we had a machine with that dollar value on it burned to the ground, our insurance company might reconsider covering us. Time to get started this morning. Dad had to bring a few gallons of diesel exhaust fluid because according to the combine and the EPA, it is necessary to run and they derate your power if you run out, and I guess it's illegal to remove. The government just never wants you to have any fun. First they try to take your alcohol, then they come after your guns, and now all of a sudden we can't have straight pipes on our diesel engines. Meanwhile, our competition in South America is getting that same exact combine without any emissions on it, getting better fuel efficiency, all that. They're just polluting the environment. So we're not really playing a fair game here, and I'm not trying to get on a soapbox. I would just love to know what that 13.6 liter engine sounds without any kind of restriction on it. Machines are warmed up, they're rolling. We got the Dixie Chicks on. Time to forget about our problems and just get after it this morning.
Fingers more sensitive, Andy.
Row feeler fingers?
No, they're not acting fast enough.
I think that would be in your steering sensitivity, I'm not sure. This 8R370 really does not struggle to pull the loaded cart anywhere except for this hill. When it goes up this hill, you can really feel it pull it down, and this is in 12th gear. This farm definitely has a little bit of rise and fall to it, just not as extreme as some of those Iowa guys, like Ron from Hartung Family Farms. He's got some massive hills. I just spent the last 20 minutes arguing with the camera about government overreach and how it really puts us at a disadvantage versus other countries that are really unregulated, like the entirety of South America, where they're probably growing organic grains that are getting certified and shipped overseas that weren't even grown organically, putting our domestic organic production literally in peril because the supply chain is just so messed up and they're unfairly competing. But then I thought, what's the point? Everyone's set in their ways. There's no reason to open that can of worms. My summary of events is that the government is not your friend, and more government overreach is never the answer to anything. I know. That's hilarious coming from a United States farmer that benefits from government subsidies. Don't hate the player, hate the game. We've got the main section of this field done. We got to hop over and pick 5 acres on the back. We've got to cross what my dad always calls a Kentucky bridge. Some of you call them Missouri bridges. It's just a crossing over a relatively dry creek that has some concrete or rock in the bottom that most of the time you can cross unless it's rained a lot. Just a little bit back here and then we're done with this field. Done with this one. Just dumped the last of that corn off, getting ready for road transport. Desperately need some fuel in the grain cart tractor. That field of May planted DeKalb 11135 was pretty good. 243 dry bushels an acre. It was like 15.2 or 15.3% moisture. Honestly, a little too dry to put in the bin. 16's about the sweet spot because by the time you turn the fans on and cool it off, you do drop a little bit more moisture out of it. No big deal. We're close enough to perfect that we're not going to complain. That's pretty good corn. And I said yesterday that this 11135 on this farm is the heaviest corn I've ever loaded on a truck. I don't know exactly what the test weight was, and I also don't want to incriminate myself. Those loads I was sending out of this field, I've never sent trucks that heavy before. So either this corn had phenomenal test weight or my scales are off. Fueling her up. about this idea, ladies and gentlemen. You put your diesel fuel tank and your diesel exhaust fluid tank on wheels, and you drive them to the field with a pickup truck and you fill stuff out there. That'd be really convenient. Has anyone thought of a product that could do that? I'm headed to the next field. Curries are still picking corn across the road. A lot getting done around here in Paradise. I'm ahead of schedule and I'm already late. It's amazing how that works when the combine doesn't give anyone a minute to catch up. We've moved to our railroad farm. It's called the railroad farm because it's right next to the CN railroad here. A lot of trains go by during the day. This is May 4th planted Pioneer 1136. I'd hate to see the moisture on it. I'm sure it's under 15%. It was dry a couple weeks ago. We just had to start cutting beans again and didn't get around to it. Standability looks good. This is a moderately productive farm. It's half productive soil, a little prone to water damage, and the other half is kind of rolling glacial moraine type soil. So hoping for 220 plus bushel corn out here. This May stuff continues to be 20 to 30 bushel better than its April counterparts, regardless of the productivity of the farm. We picked one of our best farms, planted in good conditions in April. It made 227, 228. Then we went into some May planted stuff on worse farms that was yielding with or better than the April planted corn. So that tells us a lot about this growing season and the weather patterns. If you peek through the trees right there, you will see a train on the railroad. Who'd have guessed that you can find trains on the railroad? That may be the longest train that I've ever seen. It just keeps going. It's got to be at least a mile long. Where's the end at? Oh, there it is. There's the end. Dad's going to move the auger back home from over west. Katie's running the big machine for a while. And I've got a little surprise to go get to show you guys. I'll just give you a brief rundown on what's about to transpire. Elmer's Manufacturing graciously reached out to me with an offer to demo one of their Haulmaster grain carts. Elmer's has a pretty large portfolio of ag products they offer. One of their big ticket items is the Haulmaster grain cart. You may have seen at the local farm shows this last year they announced a 3,000 bushel Haulmaster. And no, we don't have any 3,000 bushel Haulmaster. However, I have been told within the last 10 or 20 minutes there's a nice tracked Elmer's Haulmaster cart, a smaller one more comparable to our J&M cart here, waiting for us to demo. That's why we got the 9460 out. Brad from Elmer's is over there right now hooking it up, and once that's all lined up, we're gonna drag her over here and see what it's about. Elmer's already has a pretty large presence out in the Great Plains. They've worked their way into Nebraska, and now they're trying to hit the heart of the Corn Belt with their extensive grain cart lineup. The purpose of working with me is that next year they're going to be out in Illinois and Indiana trying to promote the Haulmaster, get demos out to farms. They have a really impressive demo program, and just try to get people in tune with what they have to offer. I'm excited to get to run this Haulmaster here in a few minutes, load this truck, and then we'll go from there. That's pretty fancy. Brad from Elmer's has given me a really quick overview on all the features on this cart. I honestly couldn't even list them. There's such an extensive amount of mechanical design in it and technology to top it off that it seems like a fantastic cart. I've already caught the combine a few times and dumped on the trucks, and I'm going to try to kind of capture that experience for you. For those unaware, this is an Elmer's Haulmaster 1300 bushel cart. It's a dual auger. It's designed to sit lower to the ground. It has got their big transfer tracks on it to disperse weight. From what I've gathered, Elmer's has taken an immense amount of customer feedback, both for technology and mechanical design, to help craft this into the best grain cart on the market. Let's get after it. This is a little bit different of a view than I'm used to. There's a ton of visibility behind this cart. I'd love to see how well the combines can see in. The dual auger gives you a lot lower profile, and this Elmer's cart is actually designed to sit lower to the ground than its competitors. I need a good 30 minutes to walk you around this thing and talk about all the features. Unfortunately, I only got about 60 more seconds before the combine is full again. Obviously, it's a 1,300 bushel cart. It's on these transfer tracks that can be removed and put on other implements. Brad mentioned that some of the Canadian guys will pull these tracks off and put them on their air seeder carts. I don't even know what an air seeder cart is here. We only have planters. And this is also a right-hand unload, which is like having me bat from the other side of the plate. It's been a learning experience. Let's go catch the combine. Yeah, we can. I'd go ahead and dump some off. That's what happens when your grain tank full sensor's too close to over full.
I stopped when I started hearing corn and the sensor didn't go off.
She's got it on the cab, she's got it on the step, she's got it on the feeder house. I'd say it's a bad start to our demo, but I don't think the grain cart had anything to do with it, other than not getting here quick enough. That's pretty convenient. They know that sometimes you screw up. Now that's a demo program right there. They even scoop the corn off of the combine for you. It also doesn't look like this is his first time doing this. He climbed up there pretty confidently.
He did. He started hearing corn and I was like, okay.
Too late at that point.
Too late.
You know where I come from, the people that make the mess do the shoveling.
Hey, you took charge.
We're smart. We let the person who climbs up take care of it. I rode with the expert who brought this thing in on a low boy for about 4 or 5 dumps. He's walked me through the technology. He's walked me through the joystick, the features. What's not impressive is I've let the combine get full again. Dad's off doing dad things. Katie's running the big machine. And we're running this cart. The old 9460R is like a trip down memory lane for me. It's been 3 years, I think. We've been running the 8R370, maybe 2. Time flies. Do you feel like you can see into this cart a lot better than the other one?
I feel like I can. The sides are, how much shorter are they than yours?
It's got to be a couple feet shorter, I think. He gave me the actual number, but I don't remember what he said. We're at the point in the day where we loaded a bin, the auger's getting moved, and we're going to be sitting waiting for at least 10 or 15 minutes for them to get some trucks dumped. I'll take you through some technology on this cart right here. I know I'm a tech-savvy millennial. I've been around tablets and computers my whole life, but I really like this software right here. It took me a few dumps to kind of feel comfortable with it. Now that I've worked through it a handful of times, I think it's pretty intuitive, and even maybe an older operator like my dad could figure it out. Maybe. That might be asking a lot. We're gonna be sitting here waiting for a minute or two. It's hard to give you the full view of the Haulmaster Connect system and get the lighting right so you can see the tablet. Here's the home page, a general overview of what's going on. You've got your scale weight right here. I've got it set to bushels of corn. We've got 13, 16 on. Railroad is the farm we're on. We've hauled off 5,500 bushels. Jet is just the trailer setting that I've made. And then Shivers is the bin we're currently loading. It's our Shivers bin back at the main farm. One of the really neat features on this is you can go to your trailers, set each individual trailer, and on that you can edit it. And on the trailer, you can set a weight capacity. So this Jet trailer I've got set at 52,000 pounds. The alarm is set 1,000 bushels below halfway, so it beeps at you when you need to pull up to get half the load on the back. And then knowing that you're trying to put on 52,000 pounds, it shuts it off in time on its own. It closes the gate and loads the truck automatically. It keeps you from overfilling it. My dad would love this feature because he's chewed my butt a time or two about overfilling trucks. To give you a quick idea of what that looks like on these truckloads I've sent, here are all ones that were automatic. It's set to like 925 bushels, I think, and it's sent probably 10 bushel range out of there. I wasn't full there, so that wasn't a full load. Pretty neat. Unlike the J&M cart over there, which is respectable yet simple, I don't control anything from here other than turning my hydraulics on. Everything when I unload, other than the PTO itself, is controlled from this spout right here. A double click unfolds the spout. This button right here pivots the spout up and down so it moves it around. And then this right here, this little D-pad, if you will, moves the spout around in the truck. So there's a lot of functionality on this provided by the joystick. Because the auger's on the right side as opposed to the left side, everything's here. Your tablet is here, your hydraulics, your PTO are here, and your joystick. You don't have to look across your body. You turn the way your seat already swivels, and you look and watch yourself load a truck and not make a mess, because we don't make a mess here. I've never done that. Double click it again, it folds back down. Pretty intuitive. Let's go load a truck. 925, 30 bushels, whatever I had it set at, is actually lower than I've been loading trucks at. When you come up, you just double tap the fold. Everything is run automatically. It keeps track of where it's at. Auger will work its way up. The hardest part, if you're used to dumping on the left side, is remembering to go to the right side. Gate opens on the back, the little trigger on the index finger. Closed right below it, but we don't have to operate the close, it's all done automatically. If you're not happy with where it's at, you can shift it up, down, sideways. Once we get 450 bushels, it'll beep and tell us to go ahead and pull up because we're half loaded. What's crazy about this cart is that I have the gate limited at 55%, so we're unloading at half the capacity, and I loaded the back half of the truck in maybe 30 seconds, if not less. I think this could load a truck in half the time of our J&M cart. I don't know if the auger's just bigger, spinning faster, you name it, but it is ridiculous. It's not gonna make any noise, but it's closed on its own. Gate shut, I didn't do anything. You can shut the gate manually if you want. Shut your PTO off. Double tap the pivoting function to raise it up all the way. I wouldn't normally back up, it's just the way the truck was lined up there, it made the most sense. Double click to fold, and then you're back to catching a combine. And I got my training wheels on. Imagine if I had that gate all the way open. Unfortunately, with how their demo schedule is lining up and travel cancellations and all sorts of issues getting here, and of course they don't even have the demo carts in Illinois yet, I'm only going to get to run this for the rest of the afternoon. They're going to load it back up on the lowboy. Elmer's has one of the most impressive demo programs that I've ever seen. They send a qualified operator out. He brings the cart on a low boy. He sits with you for as long as you want and shows you how to run the machine. And once you're comfortable, their hands are off, they let you do what you want, and then they load back up and go to the next person. If you want to talk about a great way to sell equipment to someone, that's the way to do it. Not letting you have it for an hour, not making you just look at it at a farm show. They will come to your farm if you're serious about purchasing their product, and they'll give you an opportunity to demo their machine. And I think this cart is probably worth demoing if you're in the market for a newer grain cart, from what I've seen so far. Shoot, there's 1,000 bushels on it already. Where's the next truck? There he is right there. Let's go load him. I'll give you a different angle this time. Too far. Jeff's watching. He's impressed with how fast it unloads. The number one rule of a ride unload grain cart is you always got to fold. No exceptions. Here's where that added clearance is nice. Unloading over some terraces on some highly erodible ground. We've probably got 5 foot of clearance over the top, at least. Since we're gonna be waiting anyways, let's hop out and just take a look at what's going on here with a little more time. A few other things to point out on this cart. It's all directly driven, no belts, a few gearboxes here and there to redirect power. It's pretty straightforward, and the unloading auger is scary fast on this. Literally, it's insane. There's a viewing window on the front. If you don't have this resting post up, it actually folds all the way down and you can see into it. Because we're on a 4-wheel drive tractor that can actually turn pretty sharply, safer to keep the rest up so you don't get into the auger. It is a possibility. The tracks have 46-inch idlers on it, which is 2 times the size of most of the other carts. There's a lot of weight distributed across here. It rides pretty good, although I can't give a fair comparison because I'm in this 4-wheel drive tractor. It's a completely different operating experience than the 8R370. That does kind of skew my ability to judge it. And yes, there is a shovel on there if you didn't realize. There's how it looks with 1,300 bushels of dry and heavy corn in it. I'd say it's got room for another 100 in there at least. Looks like we got a truck here, so the auger's moved. Time to get back to work. Everything's shut off right now so you can't see it. There is a digital scoreboard or indicator on the side so the combine can see the weight or the bushels. Pretty good feature. A lot of carts have that though anymore. There's a bald eagle circling us right now. If that's not a sign to get an Elmer's cart on your farm, I don't know what is. Look at it. One metric that intrigues me is it tracks the balance of your cart using the tongue sensor, and it can tell you if you've got too much weight on the front or on the back. You prefer to always be in the middle with the majority of your load centered on your axles that are holding your tracks. And if you're loading too much on the front, you've got too much tongue weight. Too much on the back, you've basically got too much tongue lift, and none of those are good for optimal pulling. It lets you see right here on the main page whether or not you're doing your job correctly. Although I'm just in the cart, so it's hard for me to keep track of where the combines are unloading. It does give you a good idea. One design feature that was pointed out to me was how the main tongue moves slightly independently of the frame itself. There's a little bit of a pivot in there and some rubber bushings under the front here to kind of help smooth the ride out. It's just one more thing Elmer's has thought of to make this just an easier riding cart, better for the operator. This is just a good looking, really well built cart. It's stout, holds a lot of bushels, actually more bushels than they said, because I think we probably could have fit 1,400 plus on it. Does the job. We're almost done with this field. Another feature I found pretty neat is that you can actually adjust the track tension from the auger hydraulics. When the hydraulics are engaged, you can play with this valve right here. Using that, you can adjust the tension of the track, so that redirects the flow through the tracks to either tension or detension them, which is a nice feature to have if you're out in the field and you're out of whack or you need to adjust or work on your tracks. There's your gate right there that shows open and close. We've been running right up there about 3, so there's a little bit more in the tank. I'm afraid to see what it can do. As much as I've enjoyed running the Haulmaster, I don't know that I've missed the 9460R. It's got a little bit more under the hood, some more horsepower. It just does not ride as smooth or have the amenities that the aTrippy370 does. I really enjoy that aTrippy370 for the most part. Video or pictures do justice to how short this cart is. It looks tiny next to the combine, whereas the J&M is a lot taller. It is a single auger gravity fed cart, so it needs the clearance to flow the grain in, but man, that thing's low profile. There's the inside, mostly empty. See, it's a little more complex, but gets a lot more done. So we've got Brad here. He brought the Haulmaster over all the way from Iowa, where they're demoing it right now.
That's
Brad,
right.
if you could give us just a quick and dirty, why is Elmer's as a company and the Haulmaster the best choice for farmers going forward?
That's a pretty loaded question. I don't think we could do it that quick, but I think more than the cart itself, I think it's how we handle you guys. If you call, we answer the phone. It doesn't matter what time it is. You call me, I'll answer within an hour, depending on what my schedule is like. If I'm sitting in a demo, obviously it might take a little bit, but I'll get right back to you within that hour. As far as the cart goes, quick and easy. It's lower, it's faster, no belts, no chains, it's powder coated, clean out's better, way less grease points. I don't know, there's lots.
Quick and dirty doesn't describe the cart because it's got a lot of engineering and customer feedback that's gone towards it to make it what it is today. You said a lot of what's been done other than the initial features has actually come back to you from demos over the previous 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody can come up with all this stuff unless you're sitting in that seat running the cart day after day. And we use you guys, honestly. You know, we're doing demos, but we're also getting a lot of feedback from you. So that goes a long way. And you never know where you're going to find that great little piece of nugget that makes your cart exceptional.
Have you had pretty good feedback from the customers in Iowa where you've been demoing these the last fall?
Absolutely, yeah. We do an exit interview after every demo. We're getting pretty much full marks on everything that we ask. So, you know, how do you like the cart? How do you like the joystick? How do you like the scale system? And everybody's like, oh, full marks, full marks, full marks. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Well, it's a good looking cart. It definitely takes 3 dumps, as you said, to get used to the system, but once you've had some time in the seat, it's pretty fun to run. I'm gonna miss it and the right hand unload when I go back to the J&M. It's simpler, but I think some of these features are worth having on this Haulmaster.
Yeah, there's a lot to learn in those 3 dumps. You're learning a right hand, you're learning a joystick, you're learning a different scale system, but you know, in 3 unloads, you get all that. That's pretty quick.
Yeah. All right, Brad, well, I appreciate you bringing this out. It's been a treat.
Oh, a treat for me too.
Here we've got them low side to low side, and you can just see the clearance difference between our 1222 and this 1300. The 1300 holds way more, or slightly more, yet it's just so much lower to the ground. Moving field, so we got to clean it out. That's all the adjustment I got left in it.
Notice there's no straps on my cart, because we actually put straps in the tarp itself. Like your cart, I'm assuming has straps in it, so
yeah,
your tarp doesn't sag. Ours are actually rods built into the tarp, so it doesn't sag, so it's all out of the way when you're dumping on here, you're not splashing.
You can tell Brad from Elmer's is Canadian with how he drives his semi through the field like it's a pickup truck. I can't give you a hard number on what that last field made. It was at least 220. Part of it's on LibreCart and then part of it's on Haulmaster Connect. I'll have to staple that back together later. Here's the cross auger flighting. It is 7/16" steel, chrome plated, and they claim that it'll last 2 or 3 times longer than an Unverfirth cart. It's kind of hard for me to test that because it would take a lot of bushels to wear one of these things out, even if it wasn't that thick. but that is gonna last a long time. I'm disappointed that this is leaving this evening. It's headed back to Iowa for more demos. I'm really starting to enjoy running it. Dumping it is a unique experience. I'm kind of feeling brave enough. Maybe on the next one, I'll open the gates up to 100% and see how fast she unloads. Here are those 46-inch idlers I mentioned earlier. They say that the benefit of these is just larger diameter, means less revolutions. That means less wear, less heat, you name it. It just makes the whole system last longer. One thing I would obviously point out versus our J&M cart is this is a much more complicated grain cart. There's a lot more going on. You've got pivoting, you've got adjustable spouts. I could see there being more points of failure. However, this is a very nice operator experience once you get used to it. I've heard nothing but good things from the people who've run them. I could definitely see a future where we would add a cart like this to our operation. I'd probably go a hair bigger than the 1300. I think they have a 1500 bushel option. And I think I'd pay good money just to watch Brad drive his semi-truck like a Jeep again. Just such a Canadian thing to do. We also didn't really bring this cart to a set of fields that are really conducive to a lot of bushels flowing. Yes, corn does move a lot of bushels, but just not as much as I'd like. Now, where do I open? Limits, maybe? Limit? Max gate open. Oh yeah, let's do it. 80? 100? That's brave. Yeah, let's do it. 100% open. We'll see what happens when I go to unload. This field of beans right here was our worst field of beans of the year. I think they made 55 or 56. If that tells you the quality of soil we're on right now on a dry year. It wasn't good. Maybe I could convince Elmer's to just load up the 1222 cart and take it home, and I'll just keep the Haulmaster. We're gonna try to load this truck at 100% gate opening. Wish me luck. Not gonna lie, I'm a little bit nervous. Well, it says it's only at 54%, so I must have not changed the right setting. Next load. So I overshot that a little bit. I can adjust the spout here with this button. That's really convenient. There it goes, it's closed. This must be heavy corn. Looks like I did the right thing, I just didn't save it. I think you do that and then you hit set. Okay, perfect. So I just didn't save it. We'll do it next time. I'll have to look at my spreadsheet to see what corn hybrid this is. That was really heavy. According to Dad's planting notes that I punch into my spreadsheet, this is May 15th planted to count 6289. We had this same hybrid on some better dirt with more water damage yesterday or 2 days ago that did 232. I really doubt this makes 232. Okay, here's 100%. That's working the tractor. I'm gonna close that a little bit. That's almost too much. I love the adjustability of the spout. It just makes it so much easier to line up everything. Too far, adjust it backwards. I definitely will miss the Haulmaster, but I'm not going to miss running that 9460R. This 8R370 is like a Rolls Royce compared to that. The height difference is extremely noticeable once you get back in the other one. You can't even hardly see the auger, whereas in the Haulmaster, you can see it anywhere in the cart it's dumping. You never lose sight of it. Gonna be another beautiful one, unless you're standing directly to the south. Then you won't be able to see anything. The other advantage of the four-wheel drive tractor is it sits higher. You can actually see into the trucks you're loading. Back to the left side though. I'm starting to like the right side unload. I got a moment to look at the data based on what LibreCart was showing and then the Haulmaster Connect was showing that May 4th planted Pioneer 1136 that we just harvested made 240 dry bushels an acre, which is pretty darn good for that farm. It's amazing, the cutoff just has to be April versus May for these yields. If it was planted in April, it's going to be 20 to 30 bushel less. I don't know why. That's just the way God dealt the hand this year. I've been given the impression that that may have been our last hurrah with the X9 1100. Supposedly our machine has the new rotor, the new feeding components in it, and I think it might be ready to run tomorrow, unless I've been misled. That means that one's gonna be going to town, and our machine's gonna be coming out to run, because you gotta run your machine if it's working. It's a beautiful evening, other than being a tad bit on the chilly side. We're back home at the main farm. You can hear almost all of the bin fans except for one running right now. We're working on filling that south 48-foot bin there. That's what we'll be on tomorrow. One last one here around home to fill up, which is nice. Before I take off for the day, I kind of want to talk about my experience with the Elmer's Haulmaster. I want to emphasize to you all that I'm not getting paid for my opinion. This was their regular demo program, and they brought out the 1300 model Haulmaster for our family to try for the day. From an apples to oranges perspective, it's a slightly larger cart than what we run, our J&M 1222. It's dual auger, it sits lower to the ground. The combine operators commented how they enjoyed the view into the cart versus our current cart where you can't really see into it that well. That's not exactly a fair thing to compare because they're designed differently. The Haulmaster sits really low to the ground. It's compact for how many bushels it holds. It honestly looks tiny when you put it next to the other one, yet it can hold more than the one we currently have, which is hilarious, but also a really neat feature. The track system seems simple and reliable. The cart itself seems to be stout with very simple maintenance to be done on the drive systems, some of the fold points, and then of course the track system. I think every 50 hours, a couple of pumps here, a couple of pumps there, and you're good to go for another 50 hours, other than some annual grease zerks that need to be looked at. Oil bath hubs, so low maintenance there. I would think that there's no reason that that Elmer's Haulmaster should not be an incredibly robust and reliable cart for your operation. It appeared to turn nicely through the field. It had a sharp turn radius. I wish I had it on the 8R370 so I could get a really fair comparison. Running it with the 9460R is just a completely different experience as an operator, so I think that kind of muddied the water of my comparison a little bit. I probably would have loved the cart even more if it was on an 8R with the independent front suspension, all the extra amenities that that tractor has. The Haulmaster Connect operating system definitely takes a little bit of getting used to, just a few loads. Once you have some time with the operating system, the joystick, all of these other features, and there's a lot of them on the Haulmaster, you're gonna miss it when it's gone. When I moved back to our J&M cart, I was thinking about how nice it was to be able to adjust the spout, move the pivot up and down, and there's just not on the cart we currently run. That's the nature of the beast. Overall, it's just flat out a nice grain cart, and I don't think you can go wrong if you're in the market looking for one. With that being said, Elmer's has an extremely impressive demoing program. It's not something where you only get to see it on the dealership's lot and then sign the paper. Elmer's will bring one of their representatives out with the cart and demo it on your farm, on your tractor. They'll do all the switching over, the hooking up, and I believe they'll do so in a pretty tight window before you even get started for the day. Brad, the gentleman you saw in the video, is the guy who drove the cart here from Iowa. He knows everything about that from head to toe, design to output, you name it. He's an expert, and he seemed like a genuinely nice guy. I think if he is a representative of the quality of person working at Elmer's, the values of the company, that is a company that I would want to work with. Not only do they have a phenomenal cart in the Haulmaster, their team just seems to be salt of the earth, and that's something that I can get behind. It's not just buying from the big dogs anymore. It feels good to work with a company like Elmer's after my interaction with Brad here on our own farm. With that being said, I don't know that we're currently in the market for a grain cart. We've tied up some funds other places like our combine, and I don't know that we've penciled in any kind of upgrades in the cart department. The next time we go to upgrade carts, could be in a couple years, the Haulmaster very obviously would be one of the first ones I looked at. I would highly recommend that if anyone watching this is interested in upgrading carts or is just thinking about it maybe a little bit, sign up for their demo program and get a Haulmaster on your farm and see what it can do. That's the best sales pitch I think any company can offer you, is an opportunity to run the equipment you're looking at purchasing without being committed to anything. I could sit here for an entire hour here and ramble positive things about my experience today, but I want to go home and see my family. As always, everyone, I appreciate you tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one, and have a great day. Peace.